Many teachers this year are feeling anxiety about building relationships with new students in an entirely transformed environment. Adapting your teaching practice to a wide range of developmental, cultural, and linguistic needs in the midst of all the changes that COVID-19 has created is a heavy lift. No one set of strategies can meet all of your needs, and there are no easy answers for the challenges you are facing. That's why, instead of prescribing a list of strategies, we want to support you with space to reflect on and address your unique concerns, while continuing to apply a trauma-sensitive framework. Today's video will give you some suggestions, but we hope will spark new ideas, and that rather than being overwhelmed, you'll feel equipped with a framework that you can revisit time and time again. Welcome, my name is Avery, and I'm so glad you've joined me today as we continue our learning journey. If you're joining us for the first time, please take a moment before you dive in to view the brief introductory video and the first 3 videos of our series on our homepage, which will give you tools for understanding trauma and its impact, and identifying and addressing stress in yourselves and your students. Now, let's go over our objectives. In today's video, we will identify strategies to build healthy, purposeful, and trusting relationships with all students, with a focus on trauma-informed practices and COVID-19 realities. Develop a trauma-sensitive framework for supporting and managing transitions between learning models, and develop a trauma-sensitive framework for de-escalating students who are stressed. As a reminder, when you see this symbol, this is your invitation to grab your pen and paper. Throughout this series, if you need some extra reflection time, just push pause and take all the time you need. Lastly, to best engage, we invite you to turn off other distractions and bring your full attention to learning. Let's get started. Let's warm up with some reflection. Think back to school in the spring and the transition to virtual instruction. Then answer the following questions. What helped me feel closest to my students? What was hardest for me about connecting with my students virtually? Take all the time you need to reflect. Simply pause and restart the video when you are ready. Now that you've spent a little time reflecting on your own experience, let's meet Mr. Baldwin. Mr. Baldwin is a veteran high school physics teacher from Houston. Mr. Baldwin is an extrovert, and his students know him for his ability to play 6 different instruments. He is teaching remotely this year, and despite challenges, has continued to build strong relationships with students. To help stay consistent with this, he has developed a personal reflection that he does at the end of each day, almost like a ritual. Today, you're going to hear from Mr. Baldwin as we walk through his reflective practice, which includes questions that are important to Mr. Baldwin's particular experience as an educator. Some of these questions may resonate with you, and others may not. But the important thing to remember is that Mr. Baldwin's reflection is focused on relationship building. As you watch, have a pen and paper handy, and answer Mr. Baldwin's questions with your own teaching practice in mind. Keep in mind throughout this video that you will need to map out a strategy and schedule time for implementing your relationship-driven approach to teaching, which may include reflective questions unique to your life as a teacher. You are likely already doing this, but as you listen and watch, take note of the kind of time you need to set aside to translate these strategies into your teaching practice. We know that you have a huge job to do as an educator, so we encourage you to take a flexible and personalized approach to developing your relationship-building practices. First, Mr. Baldwin asked himself, did my students and I begin and end the day together? When it comes to building relationships, beginnings and ends are so important. Intentionally starting and closing the class or school day can help your students feel connected with you and one another. Think about how you can meaningfully bookend each day or class with something relational. For example, you can provide texts, polls, written reflections, or verbal check-ins that allow students to share how they are doing. Another idea, send a warm video message each morning to the group that communicates, "I'm so glad we're together today. I'll be here for you if you need me." Or consider reading stories or inspirational articles out loud to your students, listening to an uplifting song, or watching a cool video together. Simple checkout methods like having students share an emotion in a video chat or leaving students with a joke of the day will, over time, build a sense of connection. This morning I did my usual thing, playing my welcome song on the ukulele. A lot of kids laughed and smiled. I can tell they looked forward to it and expect it. It slipped my mind yesterday, but today I remembered to make the time for a checkout reflection at the end of the day. It was so great to hear more about my students' feelings and needs, and such a good reminder of all that's going on in their lives. Then, Mr. Baldwin asked himself, how did my one-on-one connections go today? For optimal learning and development, every student needs at least one secure relationship, and hopefully more than one. Research has demonstrated that consistent one-on-one contact with an educator can significantly impact a student's trajectory, especially for students who are struggling with academic or mental health concerns. And because all students are currently navigating a variety of challenges, even light daily contact can fortify relationships and create a safety net for your students. To help make one-on-one connection feel more manageable, consider taking a tiered approach to address diverse needs. Your promotion or Tier 1 approach is what you'll use with all students. Here are some examples of Tier 1 relationship strategies. Schedule regular messaging through free apps like Remind, or consider hosting daily office hours to give students multiple points of access to you. This approach is a worthwhile investment of time, but also may be overwhelming. Set aside some time each day for outreach, and use that time to do what you can. This will be enough to start building the foundation for rich relationships. I sent out my Monday morning messages to my students. Today I just said, Mr. Baldwin here. How are you feeling about the week? I noticed turned-in assignments are lower this week, and I wanted to do a temperature check. Feeling overwhelmed, content not clear? Your feedback helps me help you. I'm also doing get-to-know-you meetings with a different student each day. I don't have time for more than 1 to 2 daily, but I can see that it's helping me feel more connected. I had a blast playing music with Samad during our one-on-one yesterday, and want to really affirm his talent. You may notice that some students need more support. Here is where your Tier 2 or prevention strategies come in. With these students, you notice some indicators of stress that fall into the red or blue zone, a concept we explored in our video on understanding students' experiences. As a result, they may need a more targeted approach for relationship building. Consider setting up additional short daily meetings or other interactions to both build a relationship and to collaborate as you build a plan to address specific needs. For example, you might plan a daily 5-minute check-in to ask about any needs with a plan to connect your student to other resources, such as a school counselor when needed. After a temperature check last week, I decided to connect with Carissa to see how she is. She let me know she's struggling, and I bumped up my frequency of contact. After this, I noticed her work started coming in, and she seems more engaged. Finally, the top of the pyramid focuses on intervention or Tier 3 supports. For students who are unresponsive or not attending class, consider getting more district or network support in addition to setting up home visits according to the Center for Disease Control and your district safety guidelines. When home visits are not possible, consider sending a card through the mail, dropping off a care package, or other creative ways of connecting. You can also consult TEA's guide for engaging highly mobile and at-risk students for more information. I also scheduled a socially distanced home visit with Kelly this week. Ms. Brown is going to join me. We need to see what's going on with her. I can feel her slipping away a little. Next, Mr. Baldwin asked himself, did I communicate empathy? As educators who care about our students, it is easy to feel like you need to fix all of their problems or cheer them up when they are sad. But research shows that people feel more seen and supported when their experiences or feelings are simply reflected or mirrored back. So, when a student comes to you and starts talking about an argument with a friend, responding with empathy might sound like, it seems like you're feeling overwhelmed, or, yeah, you feel misunderstood and that's frustrating. I caught myself trying to put a silver lining on a concern one of my students is facing right now. She was sad and I wanted to cheer her up, so I found myself pointing out all the positives in her life right now. She seemed to clam up and get quieter when I did this, which helped me quickly catch myself and switch into using empathy to just reflect back my understanding of what she's going through, rather than having to immediately fix the situation. I am finding that one-on-one meetings are essential spaces for me to just show up, listen, and be that safe person for students. I think I'll always struggle with the tendency to want to fix problems, but also notice that it's less pressure for me and more soothing for students if I am mirroring them when they are sharing. Then Mr. Baldwin asked, did I have the opportunity to have fun with my students? Bringing fun or play to class will help guide many students into a calm, relaxed state. For younger students, incorporating games, puppets, simple jokes, and pretend play or skits into remote or in-person class will set the stage for strong relationships. For older students, incorporating humor, games, and interactive online tools such as polls and synchronous meetups will create space for you to laugh and play with your students. This kind of fun and play is foundational to building strong bonds. I nailed this today. I set up a lab where students created songs using glasses of water and different frequencies. Playing our songs together on video was so cool, and the kids were into it. It's nice to see all the smiles after having a lot of flat days lately. I've also been using polls to ask and answer goofy questions. My students are hilarious. Next, Mr. Baldwin asked, did I show my students who I am? Bringing your personality, gifts, passion, and life to class helps students feel connected to the genuine you. For example, if you are a dancer, host a virtual party with your students. If you have pets, bring them to class. Consider creating all about me videos for your students to watch that includes a short biography with information about what makes you, you. I feel like I really showed up as me today. I brought my usual over-the-top energy in class, but I was also vulnerable when I shared that I miss being together in our in-person lab. There's definitely a part of me that's just sad about some of these changes. I want my students to know it's okay and safe to be open and honest about everything happening in the world. Finally, Mr. Baldwin asked, how am I doing? As we learned in our video about educator resilience, caring for yourself will help you connect well with others. When you yourself are in the green zone, it's easier to use warmth, bright eyes, playfulness, and other nonverbals to signal safety to students. I'm feeling drained at the end of the day. My energy output was high, on top of all the things going on in my life. I think I just need to review my lessons for tomorrow and create the welcome video for the class. Then turn my laptop off, throw on some music, and cook a delicious dinner so that I can refuel before tomorrow. What does this exercise spark for you? Think about which reflective questions, whether Mr. Baldwin's or your own, will help you to be the kind of educator you aspire to be. Then spend time mapping out which strategies you would like to try to implement. Take all the time you need. Simply pause and restart the video when you are ready. Welcome back. Before we transition to our next chapter, let's review what we've learned here. In this chapter, we learned about reflective practices for relationship building and identified relationship strategies that can be adapted across remote and in-person teaching environments. By now, we know that you've likely started back to school and may be facing ongoing changes in your learning model, perhaps pivoting from remote to in-person or hybrid models throughout this school year. Let's begin with a quick reflection on what this experience might be like for your students. What challenges do you anticipate for your students when transitioning between learning environments? What might be some of your students' needs and feelings as these transitions take place? Take all the time you need. Simply push pause and restart the video when you are ready. As we consider the challenges of transitions, let's bring back Mr. Baldwin. 2 months into the year, his school transitioned from fully remote to a hybrid learning model. This, of course, introduced new procedures and routines. In order to address these routines, Mr. Baldwin added one more bonus question to his daily reflection. He asked, as transitions are taking place, am I translating relationship practices, routines, and structures from one learning environment to another? Educators are often experts in routines and structure and understand that consistency builds trust between teachers and students. But in our current educational environment, this practice requires even more intentionality. As an educator, you will have to not only set expectations for what students can expect throughout the year, but also creatively translate these routines into the remote classroom, and perhaps back again. This process shows students that their teacher has prepared for the unexpected while also communicating, "We'll get through this together." Consider the following strategies for establishing structure during transitions. Early on, discuss openly the possibility of transitions during the school year, setting clear expectations for how transitions will be handled. Adapt and maintain as many rituals and routines as possible across learning delivery models. For example, if you provide a morning meeting remotely, keep it in place when you move in person. If you check in with your students daily, continue to do so throughout transitions. Continue to book in your day or classes with connection. For example, begin with reflection about the recent changes and end with a temperature check poll. Provide infographics or visuals for each week. Use free websites such as Canva to provide visual resources about schedule or routine changes. Post these on landing pages or hand out hard copies when in person. Be clear about what is happening, in advance if possible. For example, when possible, if you're transitioning to remote learning, make time to share honestly and openly about the change and hear student reactions and feelings. For example, hold a meeting in class where you ask students how they are feeling about changes. As always, hold space and provide empathy for student experiences. Provide choices when possible. For example, use polls to get student opinion on decisions where you have flexibility. Or give students a choice between 2 projects or classroom seating arrangements. When we found out we're transitioning to a hybrid model, I'm so glad I took the time to process change with my classes. I asked them, "How are you feeling about the changes? And anything I can do to make the transition smoother?" This led to a lot of rich discussion and seemed to soothe some of my students. I did continue with my morning music videos, even in person. It's been such a cool way to interact, and I kept as many of my routines in place, down to how I grade, how I provide feedback, and our usual class songs. When encountering big changes, Mr. Baldwin did his best to remain consistent, connected, clear, and structured. This helped his students to trust him as a kind and strong leader. Let's review what we've learned. In this chapter, we learned a reflective practice to help you and your students manage transitions. And we identify strategies for maintaining structure during transitions. Next, we'll explore strategies for calming students who are stressed. So far, we've talked about ways to build strong relationships and lead students through transitions. In this chapter, we'll explore more about what we can do when a student becomes stressed or dysregulated. Because students will struggle to learn whenever they are activated, focusing on regulation first is essential. Let's begin by reflecting on school closures that happened in the spring with the following questions. When was it most difficult for me to help a stressed student? When was it easiest? Take all the time you need answering these questions. Simply pause and restart the video when you are ready. Welcome back. Let's jump in with a quick lesson from developmental psychology. Over the course of our development, humans go on a journey from being almost completely regulated by others, as in the case with a hungry, crying infant who needs the constant care of an adult, to being co-regulated, where we get help from another as we attempt to regulate ourselves, to becoming primarily self-regulated. Developmental challenges or toxic stress can create extra challenges in this journey to developing self-regulation. And there are times when all of us need co-regulation, even after we've developed self-regulation skills, for instance, during a pandemic. As a result, some students are going to need co-regulation. Building strong relationships with students when they are not stressed will build trust, so that you can be that source of co-regulation when they most need it. First things first, building a positive classroom climate requires collaboration on how students would like to practice regulation. Collaborate with students prior to dysregulation, which is when students don't feel calm, safe, and social, by creating a plan with strategies that students can use. For younger students, create visuals or infographics with regulation options. For older students, create a written plan that answers the question, "When I'm stressed, what helps me regulate?" You can create these plans as a group while also customizing plans for individuals who need more support with regulation. You can also use stress inventories with all your students to get a clearer picture of where students are. So, once you've done this pre-work of getting to know how students would like to regulate and notice that a student seems to need help regulating, what's next? Let's meet one of Mr. Baldwin's students, 15-year-old Ella. Mr. Baldwin has noticed that Ella has been zoned out with a glazed stare and a frown for most of his virtual class. Mr. B's antenna goes up. He thinks something seems off. Maybe she's in the blue zone. Once Mr. Baldwin has noticed Ella's state of dysregulation, what kinds of strategies may help students like Ella regulate? Let's look at a list of 9 strategies that you can choose from when helping any student to regulate. Remember our first strategy, which is to plan for stress. Strategy number 2 is to try to attune to your student. Spend some time attuning to or trying to tune into verbal and nonverbal signals from your student. If all behavior is a form of communication, then what is your student's behavior telling you about his or her needs? The message might be something like, I am feeling low and slow. I need help getting going today. Or I need help and space to calm down. I feel overwhelmed. Strategy number 3 is to directly ask about needs. Ask students, hey, I noticed you might need help. What do you need right now? Remember though, if a student is deeply dysregulated, they may not be able to articulate or process verbal interactions. In this case, keep words at a minimum. Strategy number 4 is one-on-one attention or play. Attention and play are both energizing and calming. Supervision from a caring adult is often the best answer for the not yet regulated brain. This can be as simple as providing warm eye contact and a soothing voice. Or in the remote classroom, may also include setting up small groups to play games, color, or just talk. Strategy number 5 is movement. Facilitating movement is another way to co-regulate. In the remote classroom, walking and talking with the student over the phone, dancing, doing yoga, or playing silly movement-based games can be good co-regulation strategies. Strategy number 6 is rest. Rest can help restore regulation. Examples of this in the remote classroom include taking time for guided breathwork or meditation, listening to music, or taking breaks for students to close eyes or even nap. If these kinds of breaks aren't possible due to students' home environment, consider bringing in other support such as a counselor to help meet specific student needs. Strategy number 7 is mirroring. Mirroring is an empathy practice in which you simply notice and verbally reflect back what you see or hear a student feeling or needing. Mirroring does not involve analyzing or solving problems. Instead, focus only on what the student is telling you both verbally and non-verbally, and then reflect those messages back with a simple statement. The following phrases are examples of mirroring. I hear that you're feeling sad. It sounds like you miss your friends. It seems like you need more talk time. Strategy number 8 is choices. Providing choices and flexibility communicates safety. When a student is exhibiting stress behavior, provide 2 healthy choices to help make the situation feel more manageable. For example, would you like to take a breathing break or close your eyes here with me? You can also help them feel more safe by providing flexibility. For example, if a student is dysregulated about academic work, explore together how an assignment can be adapted to meet their needs. Finally, strategy number 9 is to use sensory-based and creative activities to help regulate. This includes activities such as push-ups, playing with clay, coloring, painting, journaling, or listening to music. As a reminder, ask support from your district or network's mental health team when you notice a student who is stuck in chronic stress patterns and cannot seem to recover from stress, or moves from 0 to 100 quickly and/or frequently. Getting help from an interdisciplinary team will provide students with the support they need, as well as the support you need to focus on teaching and relationships. Each of these strategies require adaptation to different settings and different developmental ages, and can be used not just as one-on-one strategies, but also in group and peer formats. We'll talk more about whole classroom approaches in our next video. As you get started applying these ideas, get creative and involve students when possible. There's no such thing as doing this perfectly or getting it right, but combining warmth, acceptance, and collaboration will communicate to students that you are a reliable source of care. And research demonstrates that educators often have lifelong impacts on students when they simply show up again and again for their students. In the words of Megan Marcus, a leader in the field of educator well-being, effective teaching is less about calculus or chemistry than it is about connection. Now let's apply these strategies to Mr. Baldwin and Ella. Using our list of 9 strategies, how would you support Ella? Which strategies would you use, and which strategies would you add? Take all the time you need answering these questions. Simply pause and restart the video when ready. Great work! By now, hopefully you are feeling much more equipped with a growing toolkit to help students return to regulation. But how will you know when you are successful implementing these strategies? Let's revisit Ella for some clues. When Mr. Baldwin was able to dig deeper with her in a breakout room during break, he found out she hadn't slept well in weeks and was struggling with loneliness because she hadn't seen her friends in person for a few months. Mr. Baldwin mirrored Ella's experience with empathetic statements like, "Wow, that seems like you've had a really hard time. And I can see that you're sad." This helped Ella immediately feel more regulated because she felt less alone. Mr. Baldwin's mirroring responses helped her feel like her experiences were normal, valid, and understandable. And this made her feel seen, safe, and soothed. Then Mr. Baldwin and Ella took a few minutes to play a funny online game that Mr. Baldwin had already introduced to his class. By the end of their check-in, Ella was a little more engaged and even had a plan to turn off her phone before 10:30 to improve sleep. Most importantly, though, she had developed a stronger connection with Mr. Baldwin, a connection that Ella can depend on throughout the year. The next week, Mr. Baldwin was concerned about Sam. Sam showed up late to class and seemed agitated. During small group time, Sam became increasingly frustrated and angry and began to shout through the screen. Mr. Baldwin quickly responded with 2 choices from the class's regulation list. Using a calm, firm voice to guide Sam, he verbally gave Sam 2 choices. Knowing that Sam had previously chosen music as a calming activity, Mr. Baldwin said, "You can listen to music while you complete this activity, or we can finish it together. Which do you choose?" He also offered for Sam to join him in office hours after class to share more about what is going on in Sam's life. Although Sam was resistant at first, Mr. Baldwin was able to stay calm rather than becoming reactive to Sam's stress behavior. Mr. Baldwin replaced reactivity with co-regulation. This isn't always easy and requires Mr. Baldwin to be reflective and use his own resources and relationships to stay regulated himself. When we successfully self-regulate and then co-regulate a dysregulated student, we will see 2 outcomes: a more regulated student and a more connected student. Take some time to create a list of strategies that you want to implement in your remote or in-person classroom. Before you jump into that, let's acknowledge that we've presented a lot of strategies in this video. It would be impossible to use them all. You are the expert on your teaching, so feel free to pick and choose and to use what serves you best. The regulating strategies we reviewed today, plus your connection with students, are key to helping students develop self-regulation and build resilience. Let's review. In this chapter, we defined the concept of co-regulation, we learned how to develop plans to prevent dysregulation, and we learned strategies for regulating stressed students. As we move to closeout, let's review key concepts from this video. We explore the power of self-reflection to create and maintain a relationship-driven teaching practice. We learn that play, authenticity, and empathy can enhance teacher-student relationships. We brainstormed relationship building and regulation strategies to use in your class. Lastly, we learned that co-regulation with an educator is one important pathway to developing student self-regulation. Our next video will give you the opportunity to reflect on how to continue building strong classroom cultures. To close out, your action step is simple. Send a text to a fellow educator about strategies you selected today. This could be something like, "Hi Clara, I'm working through a video series about stress. I'm thinking about using guided breathing in my classroom this year. Have you ever tried?" Finally, before you leave us, go ahead and complete this check for understanding to solidify your learning today. We'll see you next time.